What's good, y'all? I already know where y'all at. It's your boy Star Jones, and this is a new episode of Star Views. It's about to start right now. So please, I hope you got your hookah ready, and I hope you got your cups full of whatever ready, because I got a lot to talk about, alright? Know what's going on. Star Jones, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Please and thanks, you heard? What's good, folks? It's your man Star Jones. We back, man. Another episode of Star Views. This is Star Views episode 2, 2022, season 3. You know what I'm saying? Again, this year's off to a little bit of a slow start. Hasn't been really moving how I'm like used to, months going by. Like, I think this is the first movie I'm actually critiquing for the month. But in all fairness, this is the second week of February. So, but I don't think I'm going to be watching any other films that I'm going to be reviewing. So, yeah, so there's that. This year's off to a very slow start as far as movies, piquing my interest, things like that. I may have a couple Star Quick Views coming up for you in a couple weeks because, Netflix and HBO Max have a couple movies coming exclusively to their streaming site. So I think I'm going to check those out in these next coming weeks for the month of February. So there will be content. Don't worry. Don't fret. I got something for y'all. And of course, I'm going to still continue putting out Star React trailers. You know what I'm saying? So tonight we're going to be talking about the latest movie on Halle Berry's resume, Moonfall. This movie was getting a lot of, publicity late 2021. It was one of the, movies that we were looking forward to for 2022. I actually did a live trailer reaction. Star reacts to that. And it kind of piqued my interest a little bit. I kind of like those scientific movies where it looks like the world's coming into an end. I know it's kind of scary for a lot of people. Scary for me too, but movies like that, I'm really into sci-fi. When I was a kid, I was really into sci-fi, and it kind of translates into now as an adult. Science was a big thing that I was into as a kid, so as I got older, I realized I didn't like school. But, as a kid, it was definitely enticing. So, Moonfall, when I come back, I'm going to actually talk about what transpired in the film, Halle Berry's role, and all that good stuff. And then, we're going to talk about ultimately what I graded, whether or not you guys should see it, pros and cons, etc. Alright, so I'll be back in a second. I'm out there fixing me a drink. Be back in 2 ticks. So we back, folks. You already know what it is. We're going to get right into it and talk about what exactly transpired in the film, what took place and all that good stuff. So, in the opening act of the film, we first see the lovely Halle Berry and her space crew of 3. It was 3 of them. One of which is also the main character in the film. I think the character's name is Brian Harper. Yeah, Brian Harper. They're in space, and they're doing like a routine, maintenance situation on the satellite up there in space. So this is year 2010, 2011. I forget, but it was one of those 2 years, between one of those 2 years. 2010, 2011. So as they're up there, they're having a great time. Our character, Halle Berry's character, Jocinda, is talking about how she just got married and how she's spending her honeymoon in space with her crew, etc. It's all good laughs, laughter, he, kiki, and everybody all kumbaya together. Next thing you know, shit goes left. This unknown, unidentified space thing begins to approach them. It's all black in color. Can't really decipher what it is. It just looks like you could describe this thing as from afar, it looks like a big black cloud of dust. I guess you can describe it that way. And said cloud proceeds to attack the crew. Ultimately, they lose one of the members of the crew. Halle Berry gets knocked out in the midst of the action or the attack. In the midst of the attack, Halle Berry gets knocked out. So Brian Harper's character, the character Brian Harper has to save Halle Berry once he accepts that the other member of the crew is no longer with them and he has to move on. They eventually land back on Earth. You know, they go back to get the debriefing. They do the debriefing with NASA and they tell them what transpired. NASA dismisses the account of what happened up there. So the character Brian Harper ends up losing his career. You know how the government is. You know how the greater parties, the elites, they like to dismiss certain things so that the public won't be in a panic, or they just chalk things off like mentally you're crazy, things like that. So that's what NASA did. NASA dismissed what Brian Harper had to say and what transpired up there. And because Halle Berry was knocked out, Jocinda, because she was knocked out during the melee or the attack, she couldn't really confirm nor deny what took place up there. So because Brian didn't have anybody to back him up, again, NASA made him spun it and made him look as if he was crazy. So he ends up losing his job. Alright? So we fast forward 12 years into the movie after that opening act. We see son that plays Samuel Tarly on Game of Thrones. He's in the movie as well. We see him and he's talking about, his theory on what's going on. Oh, let me backtrack because I left out a few details. So when the attack was happening in space, once the big cloud of dust did what he did to them, he kind of just went straight to the moon and then proceeded to, from right then and there, it looks like, oh, he's burrowing into the moon, like he's digging into the moon. And Brian's character, he's like, I saw that too. So that was a part of the story and that they kind of dismissed. Alright, so again, fast forward 12 years, we see Samuel Tarly, the dude from Game of Thrones, Samuel Tarly. I'm not going to call him by his movie name. I think it's cool just to call him his Game of Thrones character. But he's telling everybody about this theory about the moon being this mega structure. Not being an actual moon, but something that someone built. And of course, people are dismissing him, writing him off. So as the story progresses, the moon the gravitational pull from the moon starts to, I guess, strengthen, and it starts to bring the moon closer to the Earth. Now, scientists out there, if I said that wrong, I apologize. But pretty much, the moon is starting to get closer and closer to the Earth. So NASA picks up on this, and so they're trying to figure out why this is happening. But of course, they dismissed my son Samuel Tarly, and they dismissed Brian Harper's character when he first said something is wrong with the moon, whatever that is. That thing landed on the moon. We need to go up there and figure it out. So ultimately, the moon again is getting closer and closer to the Earth. So as it starts approaching to the Earth, it's starting to cause catastrophic things to happen. Tsunamis, earthquakes, things like that. So now the planet is being affected by that. The gravity on the planet is starting to go away. So now people are floating, cars are floating, the ocean is going up into the air, things like that. So Halle Berry's character, Jocinda, they're trying to figure out this plan to go up to the moon to figure out what it is. So, yeah. And then we find out that the moon is in fact, spoiler alert, mild spoiler. It is in fact a mega structure. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is, but yeah, this kind of reminded me of Prometheus. You know how the aliens came about. They tell you the backstory of how the aliens came about, so they kind of give you a backstory on how humans came about. But yeah, so that's pretty much the movie. Them finding themselves landing on the moon and discovering why the moon is the moon and how the moon ended up being where it was. That's the movie. So yeah, when I come back, I'm going to actually tell you how I grade it, whether or not I think you guys should see it, pros and cons, things like that. Y'all know how the show goes, so I'll be back in 2 seconds, alright? So before I actually grade the movie, I know I gotta give y'all a little bit of pros and cons, but I'm gonna be honest, it's not too many pros for this film. Visually, I think the movie was stunning, but again, most movies now, it's 2022, it's hard for any movie to kind of look cheesy. Poor CGI, things like that. I think it was really good. Halle Berry's Halle Berry. She does what she does. But, you know, one of the pros is, you know, as I get older, like when I was younger, I didn't really like learning too much. Like when I was in elementary school, early on in middle school, I was all about learning. I wanted to learn. When I got to high school, I was kind of just distracted and focused on other things. If it wasn't football or girls, I probably could care less. But, you know, I got to college and then I was like, yo, I kind of, you know, like learn a little bit. But now as an adult, it's like I like learning things. So, you know, like I mentioned earlier in the intro, when I was a kid, I liked science. I really did like science when I was a kid. So now that love for science is kind of translating into me being an adult now. And so now this is like an opportunity for me to kind of learn some things. And I do give the movie credit for teaching us about gravitational pull. I know what that was, but I'm just saying that's an example. The way the moon orbits the earth, in case you might have forgot. You might have took, you know, astronomy years ago. You might not remember, so that's a good refresher. Things like that. So that was cool. Just the idea of space is cool to me. Would I be scared to go to space? Yeah. But I think space is still fascinating. So, you know, the fact that the movie shows you space is cool. I think that's a pro on the film, you know, for my science nerds out there. Y'all will definitely appreciate that. Again, the CGI and everything looked really good. Nothing about the movie looked cheesy, so that's a plus. But again, it's also not a plus because most movies look good for the most part, even when they suck. And then I think that's as far as pros go. Like I said, Halle Berry does what she does. Cons in the film, it wasn't too many cons. It just the movie kind of fizzled out. It started off interesting. You know, the fact that the moon was falling into the earth. I thought it was going to be more so like some Armageddon type shit, but it wasn't some Armageddon type shit. It was like, you know, Armageddon was just like a big meteorite the size of Texas was falling into the earth. Whereas Moonfall was, yeah, the moon is falling into the planet, but it's like someone behind it. You get what I'm saying? Like, so, yeah. Like I said, I don't want to give you too much spoilers. I would violate, but I'm not going to violate. I'm in a good mood. So yeah, cons, like I said, the movie started out really well and then it kind of just fizzled out. It went from being interesting to like, you dead ass? Like, that's how I felt. I was looking at the screen like, so when they like when they revealed, you know, why the moon was what the moon was, how the moon, like I said, how the moon got to where it was, and it was whack. Even though like they tried to really spin it on some like evolution type of situation, but it was whack. I don't know. I would have much rather the Armageddon type shit. Like it just decided to like fall out of orbit and smack into Earth. Like, you know, I think that would have been better, or would have just probably translated better than the story. I think the story just got kind of corny at the end. So with all that said, I'm gonna give this movie 5 stars. I don't think you should see it if it involves you spending money. Definitely save your money. Yeah, 5 stars. Nothing else to say about it. So yeah, 5 stars. Shout out to Halle Berry. Shout out to my son from Game of Thrones. Again, and this is not a bad 5. This is just like, it's really just an average movie. I don't anticipate this movie doing really well. It might do decent at the box office just because a lot of other movies didn't come out at the same time. So, yeah, there's that. That's my time, folks. I'm Star Jones. Look out for Star Quick Views in these next coming weeks. Uncharted is coming out if you guys are interested. I personally didn't play the video games, so the movie Uncharted is not piquing my interest, so I'm not pressed to see it. I just have a good feeling that I'm not going to enjoy the movie, and for me to spend the money on the bread to see it and not being interested in it, I'm really going to be pissed off, so I'm not even going to do it. So you guys can let me know how it is. Make sure you hit me up. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know where to find me at on social media. That's my time, folks. Y'all have a good night. Y'all enjoy your day how y'all enjoy your day. And I'll see y'all next time. Oh, y'all still here? Appreciate y'all for sticking around, man. But I don't got no more hookah. But what I do have is more content on my YouTube channel. So please, if you haven't done so already, hit that red button and subscribe. Hit the bell so you get notified as soon as I post anything. Alright? And if you haven't already followed me on social media, here's my information. Make sure y'all follow up. Appreciate it. Y'all still here, man. That's valid. Have a good one.